For a lot of us as medical entrepreneurs, we've been working in a healthcare system that essentially is controlled by the government. The government actually sets the price essentially through Medicare, and then that price is then used in all private insurances, either as a percentage above that or smaller than that. And basically, our income is essentially determined by an outside factor to ourselves. One of the first things that we have to do as medical entrepreneurs is to escape that broken mainstream medical system. Because as you can see, in the last few years, you've had inflation raging at somewhere between 10 to 15%, while you've had no increase in pay when reimbursement from Medicare, from Blue Cross Blue Shield, from United Healthcare, or any of those guys. So essentially, in the last 2 years, if you have been practicing medicine or have had a clinic, you essentially have received a 30% pay cut. The amount of money you received maybe has not changed, maybe even went up a little bit, but it likely didn't keep pace with inflation. And that's why many people that are working in the healthcare space are feeling the pressure. They seem like they're working harder and harder, but at the end of the day, there's less to take home. The reason why this is happening is because of inflation. And until you're able to break free of the mainstream medical system and have your own business and be able to set your own prices, you'll always be subject to whatever someone else thinks you're worth. And big hint or spoiler alert here, they're not going to pay you what you're worth. So that's why you have to break free and start your own business, start your own journey as a medical entrepreneur. So today what we're going to talk about is how do we follow the pathway to premium pricing? And for many medical entrepreneurs, it's very difficult for them to be comfortable with charging prices because they've always been told that the price is set by the insurance company, price is set by the hospital, price is set by somebody else. They themselves many times don't know how to set prices or even ask for money from patients. Sometimes they even say that it feels wrong to ask for money. So we're going to follow today the pathway to premium price. And we're going to start off by discussing what's happening economically with the country of the United States. If you haven't been aware, for probably the last 30 years, there's been a consistent, steady destruction of what's called the middle class. America was very unique compared to most of the other countries in the world in the sense that it had a very large middle class. Most countries have rich people and a lot of poor people with a very small middle class. For a long time, the United States has had this beautifully large middle class. And unfortunately, due to a lot of economic forces and a lot of governmental forces, basically the middle class has continued to shrink over and over. And what you have most recently is a massive acceleration in the destruction of the middle class, with basically people are basically getting divided. You're either going to be rich and you keep getting richer, or you're going to be poor and you're going to keep getting poorer. But there's not that many people in the middle anymore. And so if you look at a lot of the data that's out there, you'll see that basically since 1970, middle-class household incomes have not climbed nearly as much as upper household incomes. So basically those people who were making more money in the 70s are now, from a family point of view, are actually richer now than they ever have been because they've actually been making more and more money because they understand how to make money. Those people who don't understand how to make money, who allow other people to make the decisions on money for them, or are part of systems that control how much money they're allowed to make, for example, mainstream medical system, those people are getting slowly but surely eroded away. So what we can see is that basically from 1970 to 2020, there's been a pretty significant change in income. The percent change in income of the upper class has gone up by 69%. The percent change in the middle class has gone up only by 50%, and the percent change of the lower income has only gone up by 45%. So the share of the aggregate U.S. household income held by the middle class has basically fallen steadily since 1970. And why this is important is because basically when you start to realize that you're getting essentially a bifurcation or a separation of the two classes, you have people that are very poor, and they're going to be likely dependent on government assistance, government insurance, these kind of things. And you have people that are very, very wealthy on the other end, but you have very, very little people in the middle. And so you need to realize that for a lot of your practices, you should consider targeting them to the upper class only, because the lower class will be served likely by government subsidies, Medicare, Medicaid, these kind of things. And as you can see from that, if you participate in any kind of Medicaid program, God bless you, you do a lot of work for very, very little bit of pay, right? So the bottom line here is middle class will continue to lose ground. Rich are going to get richer, poor are going to be poor. And so we need to basically position ourselves to take advantage of the kind of this bifurcation and make sure that we can sell to people who can have better purchasing power and basically position ourselves to basically have good margins in our business so our businesses can grow and become healthy.